What's going on, everyone? It's the Career Coach here. Today, I am excited to talk to you about how to identify a strong working culture. I've had a lot of people ask me, even some of the recruits I've had through my company that I work for, how do you really understand the culture of a company and how do you get an idea of the way that we are building into the community that we have, but also finding high caliber people to feed into that culture as well. So let's get right into it. The first thing that I really want you to focus on is just going on the website and doing your homework. When it comes to actually understanding the corporate culture, the first thing that I look for is the vision and mission statement. If the website does not clearly depict that, then you're not really going to have an idea of how that is factoring into the daily operations of a company. The next thing I would say is identifying what the short-term and long-term goals of a company are. If they're not clearly stating that in the website, then how do you know that you have job security in the next 5 to 10 years? Quite frankly, I think everyone wants to grow within any organization, and being a part of the culture means that you are hustling and you're trying to get to that next level and inspire others to do the same. The last piece of the website portion is really focusing on the philanthropy and the community engagement that the company is focusing on. When it comes down to it, if a company is not going out of their way to help invest in Cincinnati or any other city that you might be working in, then you're missing a marker. And I think that company is also kind of shooting themselves in the foot, so to speak. They're not giving you a chance to actually give back to the community as well. The next big topic is really focusing on the office environment. And when I say that, I'm saying the actual layout and the way that the team is oriented. So first things first, when you walk in the door, your first impressions really come from the people that are at the front desk, that are the receptionists, and they're greeting you in. If they are not taking the time out to get to know you, if you're coming in for an interview or you're just starting to get through the rest of the interviewing process, then I think it speaks a lot to the character of the company when that front line of defense is really not being intentional about building into you and understanding who you are. A lot of times in my own recruiting practice, I will take the time out to ask my front desk receptionist, hey, did my candidate come up and start talking to you before he or she came in to interview with me? Many a times when they say yes, those tend to be the best candidates that I recruit, because that means that they want to get to know the company, and the receptionists are doing the same thing. The next big facet is actually looking at the layout of the desk situation. So when it comes down to all the employees and the way that it's situated, are the desks oriented in a way to where they're closed off and it doesn't encourage community engagement and building into your partners in the workforce? Or are they low sitting desks, and is there conversation, and are you working together to build into that team? I think accessibility to all of the executive leadership team is so important. Quite frankly, you want to know that it is an open door environment. You want to get to know the leadership team that you would be working for. Also, you want to know that when problems occur, and they do, that you have that open line of communication to go into their office and say, within reason, hey, I need help with this. Would you be willing to spend time with me? I think that very much so feeds into the culture and the trajectory of where the company is going. There have been managers that I have personally worked for that will not take the time out to meet with their current employees, let alone their candidates. Make sure that also, if you get into the company and you start working for them, and you're building into the culture, that you are proactively seeking opportunities to learn from their expertise and get advice and reach out to them even over a cup of coffee. And doing those little things will go a long way. The third piece that I really think is one of the most critical are the recruiters. So me and all the people that are out there trying to help you get into the right company at the right time in the right place for the right reasons. So all the recruiters that are out there, this is a personal message to you, and building into the culture, you are the first line of defense. You are the gatekeepers. So that means that the way that you are projecting yourself in the workforce and also to the potential employees that you're looking to hire speaks a lot to the character and the culture of the company. So be aware that when you're in public, people pay attention, and all of the candidates at career fair events and job fair events, they look at you to be the leaders in the organization, because ultimately your job is to develop that culture and to cultivate relationships with those people that want to be part of it as well. For any of my recruiter friends as well, I will mention that if you're not effectively communicating what the interviewing process looks like and why they interview the way that they do when you're in those meetings with candidates, again, that does come back on the culture. If a candidate doesn't know what it looks like being part of the interviewing process, or let alone what they can do to be successful in the interviewing steps that they're taking, that's going to really hinder your opportunity to invest in them up front and to be transparent and clear and honest in the way that you're trying to recruit them. This one's a big one as well. Are you the apply online recruiter, or are you hand me your resume and let's schedule a time? So many recruiters have this mentality that you have to go online and apply for the position before even having a conversation with them. This is wrong. When you're a recruiter, get that candidate in to interview as soon as possible, and it is your responsibility to take that time out to get that candidate into your CRM or your recruiter tracking system. That's on you. How are your interviewing skills? For a recruiter, when you are meeting with a candidate, if you're not intentional about actually holding it as a conversation throughout the interviewing process and not being pointed with questions, that's going to go a long way in speaking to the candidate and building a relationship and building that rapport. If you're just shooting them with questions back to back to back, that's not really building into a relationship. That's dogmatic. And I think it's really hindering the opportunity for you to get to know them and for them to feel open and comfortable and talking about what their strengths and weaknesses might be. The last and final piece of the culture building aspect within an organization is the executive leadership team. Ultimately, the leadership in the team are the ones that should be the forefront, as well as the recruiters coming alongside each individual employee and empowering them to be the best version of themselves. One major facet of this is encouraging your employees and the people that you are interviewing to be proactive learners. A culture that is all about coachability and trainability is always successful, because that means that you're investing in them and they want to invest in you. And also, not only that, taking the opportunity to say, I want to empower you to be a better version of yourself and to hopefully give you an opportunity to be an executive leader with my team is huge. And again, building into the culture and building into the relationship. Another piece of the culture is, are you effectively, as a leader, taking time out of your schedule to grab coffee or grab lunch with each of your employees? Many times, executive leadership teams will say, I have no time to invest in my people because I'm so busy worried about the business. Ultimately, if you really care about your business, you need to care about your people first. Ultimately, as a leader, you need to be grabbing coffee or grabbing lunch and spending time with each of your employees or potential candidates that you're interviewing. Many of the companies I've worked for, Fortune 100 and 500 companies, the leadership team will actually grab dinner with the candidate at the final stage of the interviewing after they accepted an offer. Again, that goes so far in building into the relationship and the retention rate at the end of the day. And my recruiter friends will know retention is everything. A leader that's truly taking time out to see the short-term and long-term growth of their company is one that understands and recognizes that they want to be a 10xer, not a 20xer. For those of you that have read From Good to Great by Jim Collins, it's a phenomenal book, highly recommend it, but it talks about long-term success and building into consistency. And your culture is a part of that consistency. Are you constantly reaching out to your employees and investing time in them? Even just simple emails and spending time with them goes a long way, like I said in my prior point. But not to mention, also understanding that when you set smart action goals and you're taking time out to help each individual employee understand what their 5-year mission and vision, that goes a long way as well. As an executive leader, are you, and this is a challenge from me to you, are you going out and investing in the community? People want to work for a company that they see leaders that are taking up that mantle of going into philanthropy. I sit on the board for the YMCA of Blue Ash, and I do that not for my own personal benefit, but because I really want to invest in other people first. That has been my mantra ever since I started this career coaching business, and ever since I started this YouTube channel. It's really been a focus of, if you invest in people first, then the right people will come to you. And that means that your culture ultimately will benefit from that. My last point is quite simply, do you believe in a work-life balance? Too many managers are worried about the final number, the bottom line, and I understand that. You have to hit goals, you have to hit projections, but don't forget that the people that are working for you are human beings. They want to feel that they matter, and they want to know that their time outside of the office is actually spent doing things that they want to do. Everyone has a family nowadays. Everyone has kids and other things that they want to accomplish. Work should not be the focus. I'm sorry. Because if it is, then your culture is not going to be what it could be. A work-life balance communicates to every single one of your employees that you matter. And we want you to work a normal 8 to 5, Monday through Friday, because your weekends are your own. And it means that you have time to also rejuvenate and rest so that you can hit the ground running the next week. Too many times, managers will expect their employees to work every single weekend. You're doing yourself an injustice, because what you're saying to your employees is that all I care about is how many hours you can work for me, and not necessarily whether or not those are critical hours that are actually making an impact on the business. Guys, I really hope that this video was a blessing to you. There's so many opportunities for us to invest in our culture in the workplace. I thankfully have worked in many good companies that have done this, but I understand and I have to recognize as a recruiter and as a talent manager that that's not the case for everyone. So I would challenge you as executive leaders and to my recruiter friends, even those candidates out there that are looking for a new full-time job, do your research, know your company, and know your people. Thanks, guys.